Okay, so here we are for our fourth tutorial, and we're going to continue working on some other tools that have to do with curves. So we are going to open large objects, centimeters in this case, and we're going to learn some other tools for curves. We're going to maximize the top view, and in this case I'm going to show you the different types of tools that we can use with curves. Now we're going to have all the curves and the tools on the top view, and you're going to upload the file afterwards with everything that you do on the tutorial. Okay, remember that you don't have to do exactly the same thing that I do, but you do have to try out the different tools and see what the difference is. Okay, so let's begin with a very basic. Now we're gonna go to the top tab. On the top tab we're gonna have curve, and we are going to see the different options for today. Connect curves, chamfer curves, fillet corners, fillet curves, and we are going to have a special tutorial for the extend curves. Okay, we are also going to look at offset curve and blend curves. Basically we use these to connect different curves. Let's say you have curves separated and you want to join them and you want to connect them. So let's begin with two basic curves. I'm going to draw a curve over here and one in the bottom. Okay, and I have another line that is different for this curve. Now these three curves are separated, they're disconnected, and I want to connect the different sides. Okay, so I can go to curve, I can use my connect curve tool, and I'm gonna read the command line. It says select first curve to connect. So I'm gonna select this curve and I'm gonna connect it to this one. As you see, the angle of the curve is the same. Now it ends in a point because it is a straight line, so it ends in a point. This is how he connects the different curves. We're going to see different tools. And I'm going to connect the top part. Again, I'm going to connect curves. Click the first curve and the second, and he will connect this one. Okay? Now I'm going to do a little eye over here, and I'm going to choose a curve. Remember that I can choose different types of curves. I want to make an eye. Okay, if I want to be more precise, I can take off the snap, remember, and I can use this curve type so I can make an eye. So here I have like kind of like the face of a fish. Okay, so as you see, I can have different curves and then ask for the tool to connect. Very good. Now let's look at another one. Let's say that I'm going to use chamfer curves. Okay, so let's see how this works. Right now I'm going to click and highlight snap and ortho. In this case, ortho is necessary because I want to make my lines perpendicular. So I want to make a perfect perpendicular line. I'm going to choose polyline, and I'm going to make an S. You can make it whatever size and wherever you like. So I'm going to make an S on the top view. As you see, the corners are all perpendicular. I'm going to use the tool curve, chamfer curves, and I'm going to read the command line. Select first curve to chamfer. Now the chamfer parameters changes the distance. You can join them, like they can be all joined at the end. You can trim. Okay, so we can select the curve and the second curve that I want to chamfer. So I'm selecting the bottom, the bottom part of the S, and the other curve. Now you can see that the curves now are not ended in a point. It makes like a little chamfer. Now I'm going to do the same. Now if I press enter, the last command will automatically display. If I press enter, it says select first the chamfer. I'm going to select this one and this one. Now I'm going to do it once again, this one and this one. Once again, you always do it with 2 lines. Okay, so now I have an S that it's chamfered. Okay, I can also do it with a different type of distance. If I need a bigger chamfer, I can increase the distance, let's say. Okay, let's say I have another one. Let's say I have an A. Okay, if I have an A, I'm gonna make an A using polylines. Okay, and I want to chamfer the top part, but I want to make it bigger. So I'm gonna go to Curve, Chamfer Curves, and I'm gonna change the distance. The distance I want to be 2. Let's see how that works. So I'm gonna second chamfer distance 2. Now click on the first one and the second. Now I have a bigger chamfer. You see, it's a 2 centimeter chamfer. I'm gonna do the same with this one, and I can have a bigger chamfer. Now all those are tools for curves. You see, you can change the curves. Okay. Now let's see another tool that is called fillet corners. Let's say you have a rectangle. Okay, we have a rectangle. Now these points, I don't want to chamfer them. I want to fillet them. I want to fillet the corners. The fillet corner will help me smooth, like sand, all the corners of the curve. Go to Curve, Fillet Corner. Now I'm going to select the poly curve. Select this one, and it says press enter when done. Now you can add the radius, like how smooth you want the corners. In this case, I'm going to choose also 2 and see what happens. Now my square has now the corners completely smooth. Okay, this is very helpful because no object has exactly pointed corners. You should always fillet at least a very small portion. You should always fillet the corners. Okay, so that is fillet corners. It's very, very helpful. Only for poly curves, like if you have a curve or an hexagon. Let's see if we can do it with this one. Okay, so we have an heptagon. I'm sorry, this is a pentagon. And let's try the fillet curves. So we're gonna fill the curves. Fillet corners. I'm gonna fillet all the corners here, and I'm gonna decrease the radius because it's a pentagon. Now the pentagon looks like this. Now look at the corners. Okay? Very good. Another tool that I want you to look at is fillet curves. Now fillet curves will connect 2 curves, just like connecting curves, but he will try to fillet them to find a nice and curvy way. So let's look at this. Let's say I have the following curve. I'm going to make a curve. Okay? Okay, remember that in order to draw curves better, you should take the ortho off, or the snap. Okay, let's say I have this curve and I have this one. Okay? Now, if I'm going to use connect curves, I am going to get a pointy connection, like a wave. So I'm going to select the 2 curves, and here I have the connect curves. Okay? But If I use fillet curves, I am going to get a different type of connection. You see, there's a smooth connection here. He tries to find a curve that is connected. Okay, so that is the difference between connecting and filleting curves. Sometimes you want a straight connection, like with this picture over here, or sometimes you want a smooth connection. So that is a way to also connect curves. Okay. Now the extend curve, we're going to see it in another tutorial. So all these are going to be in one tutorial, like extending a curve. You can also extend it by line, by arc, or if you need a curve on a surface, etc. Okay. Now we're going to continue with offset curve. Let's say that we have a circle, and we want a centric circle. From this one, we want the same figure, but we want to offset this curve bigger or smaller, depending on what we need. Let's say you only want the width of a tire. So you choose the curve, okay? It has a certain radius or diameter. We're going to go to curve, offset curve, and remember always to read the command line. It says select curve to offset. The distance parameter, corners sharp, the through point, and the tolerance, and do it on both sides. It depends on the figure that you're doing. In this case, if you change the distance, it's how big you're going to offset the curve. So I'm going to select the curve, press. Now it says side to offset. You can, as you see here, you can offset out or you can offset in. I can also change the distance at this point. I can put 5, and now the offset will be out or in. If I choose in and I click on it, I'm going to get another curve exactly the same with a smaller radius. Okay, this is very helpful if you don't know exactly what the radius is and you want something to be just a little bit smaller. So this is offset curve. Very good. So it's really helpful for creating rings or tires or things that have another and you can do it with any curve. Let's say I'm going to draw this wavy line over here, and I'm going to apply curve, offset curve. I'm going to choose the curve, and I can offset on any side. So I'm going to offset on this side. I get exactly the other curve that I want. Okay? So it's really helpful to use this tool, offset curve. Okay, now there's another type of connecting the curves, that it's blend curves. So you can have two curves. So you can use connect. You can use you can also use chamfer curves. You can fillet corners, fillet curves for connecting curves. Now we're going to see blend curves. Let's say I have two curves, two different curves, and they are disconnected. I have these two curves. Now in blend curves, the good thing is that you can connect the side that you want. So let's look at this tool. You press curve, blend curves, and it says select first curve to blend. Now it also says select near the end. So I'm going to just connect these two parts. So I'm going to click here near the end and near the other end. Now I will have this connection. If I press enter, I will get the tool automatically again on the command line, and I'm going to blend this one at the end and this one, and I will have my connected curves. Now you can connect any type of curves when you need them. Remember that you don't have to do all the trace. Now you know how to connect the different curves. Now this was on the top view. The activity for you is to do some other objects on the front view. Okay? and some other objects on the right view. So at the end of this tutorial, you should have different examples on the front view using the different types of tools that we saw today, and on the right view also you can have different examples. I hope that all these tools will help you, that you can use them later on for your projects and for more complex designs. Okay, so that is it. Good luck.